Hare Krishna Mataji, Nandot Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvind Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvind Prabhuji, Tanvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashmati Mataji, Tanvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumar Devidasi from Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji. This is Kamali Kidasi from Baltimore. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, and all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kamali Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyamagari Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shyamagari Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. This is Pooja Arora from Haridwar.
Hare Krishna, Puja Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, this is Jagannath Das from Knoxville, Tennessee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Jagannath Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karna Devidasi from Lincoln.
Hare Krishna, Indu Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Do we have any more introductions before we start the class? Hare Krishna, welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. We are extremely fortunate to have His Grace Ramagiridhari Prabhuji here with us today. And Prabhuji wouldn't be enlightening us by discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, verse 20. But before we dive into this nectarine class, I will request Raj Prabhuji to share a brief introduction about His Grace Ramagiridhari Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Raj Prabhuji. Danvat
Dandavat
Pranam.
Pranam to you and all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Shri Guru and Gauranga. Here is a brief introduction for Ramagiridhari Prabhuji. His Grace Ramagiridhari Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. Prabhu is practicing Krishna Consciousness since 1989. Prabhu is from Sri Rangam, Tamil Nadu, India and currently living in Navi Mumbai. Prabhuji is trustee in Bhaktivedanta College, Radhadesh and Alfred Ford School of Management, Belgium. Prabhu is responsible for collecting annual reports from all the ISKCON temples, preaching centers, Naam Hattas, and process and maintain the database. This service is under purview of GBC ISKCON. Prabhuji is director of North American Institute of Oriental and Classic Studies, Tennessee. Prabhuji is one of the leaders of Congregation Development Initiative of ISKCON Navi Mumbai. Prabhu organizes programs and preach to young and youth in Mumbai. Prabhu has a master's degrees in software systems from Birla Institute of Technology, Pilani, and Bachelor's of Engineering, Electronics and Instrumentation from Anna University, Chennai. Prabhu is co-founder, managing director, and CEO of Gauranga Soft Tech Private Limited, a software development and technology services company since 2007. Prabhuji is also co-founder and director of Loka Education, an educational resource development company since 2011. Prabhuji is also co-founder and director of Gokul Kids Education, an early childhood education initiative of Gokula Education. Loka Education. This is a brief introduction for Prabhuji. Over to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Nano Pranam.
Thank you, Raj Prabhuji, for that introduction. Hare Krishna, Ramagiridhari Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for your valuable time and association this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. Without further ado, I would like to request you to please take over from here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, all glories to Prabhupada. It's a pleasure always to be in the assembly of Vaishnavas to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, it's very inspiring to see that this program is going very consistently and regularly, and all of you are doing a very wonderful service. I'm sure Srila Prabhupada will be pleased. So let's chant the invocation prayer and then have our discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, text number 20. Okay, so we have on the screen. Atra chodaharantimam itihasam puratanam bhutanam Vishnu yamayo samvadastam nibodhame. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. In this regard, learned scholars and saintly persons describe a very old historical incident involving a discussion between the order carriers of Lord Vishnu and those of Yamaraja. Please hear of this from me. Purport. The Puranas or old histories are sometimes neglected by unintelligent men who consider their descriptions mythological. Actually, descriptions of the Puranas or the old histories of the universe are factual, although not chronological. The Puranas record the chief incidents that have occurred over many millions of years, not only on this planet, but also on other planets within the universe. Therefore, all learned and realized Vedic scholars speak with references to the incidents in the Puranas. Srila Rupa Goswami accepts the Puranas to be as important as the Vedas themselves. Therefore, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he quotes the following verse from the Brahma Yamala. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpada Yaiva Kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas and Narada Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. A devotee of Krishna must refer not only to the Vedas but also to the Puranas. One should not foolishly consider the Puranas mythological. If they were mythological, Sukadeva Goswami would not have taken the trouble to recite the old historical incidents concerning the life of Ajamila. Now the history begins as follows. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Menam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are in the 6th canto, 1st chapter. As Prabhupada explains that Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna personified, and the current context that we are in, where it's going to be a very interesting set of series for the next 3 cantos, 6, 7, 8, 9, next 4 cantos, we are going to have a very interesting aspect of Krishna that we will be learning. Srimad Bhagavatam deals with 10 subject matters. Atra sargo visargascha sthanam poshanam utaya manvantare ishanugata nirodha bhakti rashraya. So, up till this point in time, up till chapter 5, so atra sargo visargascha sthanam, till that point in time, till canto 5 end, up till sthanam has been described, which means creation, and subsequent to creation, then planetary systems, all of them are described. Now, the 6th canto starts to describe about Poshana, how the Lord is protecting. If you all had, followed 5th canto end, Krishna is explaining about the hellish planets, and Parikshit Maharaj was not very happy. When Parikshit Maharaj asked this question, that it's not exciting what you're saying, my dear, sir. So please let me know what this all punishments going to do with someone's life. As soon as he's free from the punishment, his propensity is still going to commit again the mistakes. So it doesn't make sense. So Sukadeva Goswami appreciated this question of Parikshit Maharaj and said that I was testing your attentiveness as well as your interest in learning. Your point is very well valid and taken. It is not just by giving punishment to someone, a person can get rid of the propensity. So one has to go through the process of purification. So that is the context from planetary system conversation to Poshana conversation started, where Sukadeva Goswami is narrating an episode. Through an episode, he is going to establish this fact, this doubt of Parikshit Maharaj, how it is not just possible that I made a mistake and I am punished, then everything is sorted out, I am a clean guy. It is not like that. But if somebody go through the process of purification, then it is for sure going to be glorious one. So that's the context that we are in, where Sukadeva Goswami is about to start the story of Ajamila. But in today's shloka, Srila Prabhupada made certain interesting, important points. And let us churn that out and see what we can take home. As always, we will learn this context through some sets of reflections. And these reflections will help us to apply the purports in our own personal life, in our own personal practices. The first reflection I want to, share about is what Srila Prabhupada is talking about, the authenticity of the Vedic knowledge. Puranas, Itihasas, Suti Smriti Puranadim, Pancharatrim Vidim Vina, Aikantikir Harir Bhaktir, Utpada Yeva Kalpate. So Srila Prabhupada is very particular and definitely wanting us to not lead a blind faith or some sort of arbitrary understanding of spirituality. Srila Prabhupada, right from the beginning of starting this ISKCON, he had been time and again in every forum has been saying only one thing, that this process of Krishna consciousness is scientific. It is just not somebody's manvar kahani. It's not just some story cooked up for, telling something, because that's how people think it's a fairy tale. It is just some sort of a story, cooked up story to teach some values. So Puranas are not like that. Puranas and Itihasas, they are all meant for those who can't directly understand Vedic knowledges. Because for us to understand Vedic knowledge, we need a specific acumen, we need a specific consciousness, we need a specific maturity, and we need a specific process, and we need to go through some sort of a system of learning. And that is not easily possible in Kali Yuga. So knowing our state of existence, Vyasadeva brought this Purana and Itihasas exclusively meant for those of us in Kali Yuga. So when Srila Prabhupada established this Krishna consciousness movement, Srila Prabhupada was very particular in making sure that we don't remain blind followers. One of the reasons Bhaktivedanta purports are given very, very significant importance is because Srila Prabhupada did not want, neither Krishna wanted. If Krishna had to exercise his veto power, Krishna could have said Arjuna on the day one, when Arjuna said, Sishyasteham satimam tvam prapannam. If Krishna has to just exercise his veto power, Krishna could have said at that time, 2nd chapter, 7th shloka, at that time itself Krishna could have said, what he could have said? Hey, Arjun, I am God. Better do what I am asking you to do. Just take the bow and arrow, go and fight. Krishna could have said that. I am sure nobody would have that audacity to challenge Krishna. But Krishna did not do it. Neither Krishna preempt teaching this science of Krishna consciousness to Arjuna ahead of time, nor Krishna wanted to lose the opportunity when Arjuna surrendered. Rather, he wanted Arjuna to learn, understand, apply, and take a decision. Not just, neither by sentimental decision, nor by enforcement. This is actually the way spiritual knowledge is imparted. So spiritual knowledge is never actually taught. Spiritual knowledge is to be learned. A student is going to a Gurukula to learn. The teacher doesn't teach. The teacher facilitates the student to learn. That is how the Vedic education system had been. And in the Vedic education system, where the process is people learn, people try to understand, they will apply, develop an experience, and based on that experience, they take decisions and they eventually inspire others. But now, the education system is such that, the mindset is such that I yearn to earn. I only have one criteria. I am yearning for earning. What do I study so that I can earn money? But in Vedic situation, it is not what do I study to make money. What do I study so that I can be righteous? Arjuna, in spite of all his confusions, Arjuna could have said, Krishna, I am actually taking a decision. I am going to the forest. But Arjuna did not take a decision. So very interesting scenario is Arjuna had an ideology, had a thought process. At the same time, he had a values within him to say that I cannot take a wrong decision and do something stupid. So better let me clarify if my understanding is correct or not. He had that acceptance of authority. So Prabhupada explains in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, if anyone wants to understand Bhagavad Gita, they need to have that propensity, mindset of that of an Arjuna. What is that? First, accept the authority. Second, surrender to the authority. Third, listen from the authority. Fourth, get clarification from the authority. Then you take a decision. What is modern science? First, you clarify. Second, let me try to evaluate if I like them or not. Third, if I don't like, I will not do. What is because even surrender? Why should I surrender? Because we are all equals. So look at the complete difference between one segment and another segment. So we are currently studying modern education system, which is programming us to do what? Baba, pehle bolo. Tell me the content. I will tell you whether I like or not. If I like, I may further come to you for learning. I have no interest in surrendering and all, because we are all equals. Now, we have to take that mass of people, which is all of us. We have to go through, put them through some sort of a, cleansing bucket, just, some sort of a mass cleaning, and to transform our thought process. It's a humongous endeavor. Because from self-centeredness to Krishna-centeredness, Guru-centeredness, principle-centeredness, the first principle is to accept the authority. Authority acceptance means Shastra, Guru, Sadhu. And Prabhupada explains here, these Puranas and Itihasas are our authorities, are the basis on which how people have to, learn and understand and things like that. So my first reflection is, in our journey to Krishna consciousness, if at all we wanted to make progress, either way, in the way of being a very serious, active, enthusiastic bhakta, or even to be a sakama, person, without surrendering to the authority of spirituality, without surrendering to the authority of Vedic knowledge, we will only be completely going in the opposite direction. So it is better to somehow or other develop that courage and submissiveness to surrender to the authority, have some patience hearing, and try to assimilate the knowledge that we get, that we are, taught, or that they are helping us to learn, experience the result of them, then everything falls in place. So in our Krishna consciousness program as sadhakas, that's where our focus needs to be. If we are not able to focus on that aspect of it, somehow we will remain as a sentimentalist, or we'll remain as somebody who is a procedural person. Because according to my understanding, Krishna consciousness, the whole aspect of Krishna consciousness can be classified into three buckets. One is a technical aspect of Krishna consciousness. Second is sentimental aspect of Krishna consciousness. Third is emotional aspect of Krishna consciousness. What is technical aspect of Krishna consciousness? Is about the knowledge, universe, who am I, who is God, who is Bhagavad Gita, general technical, you know all the information. I am not this body, spirit, soul. This world is temporary, it is asashvata. So you know all the technical information in and out. What is sentimental aspect of Krishna consciousness? It is about procedures. It is about festivals, how I have to do arati, how I have to do offering, how I have to do certain things, how I am supposed to cook, how I am supposed to, perform festivities, how I am supposed to dress the Lord. Very important. Both are very important. But what is the in-between emotional aspect of Krishna consciousness? It actually tells us how, in what consciousness, in what frame of mind, in what mindset. Just because you are doing arati, just because you are speaking correct content of Bhagavad Gita, will we become a qualified devotee to enter spiritual abode? Probably not. Because Krishna wants to see the in-between aspect, which is what Prabhupada is writing in the preface to Nectar of Instruction. What is that? The attitude of the follower. A very famous, reference that I always give. This entire purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement. Let me just pull that out. This is Nectar of Instruction preface. Prabhupada says, Nectar of Instruction. Prabhupada is actually saying a very important point where he says, the attitude of the follower. I'm not able to get it out. So, if we are not having the right attitude, if you are not able to inherit the right perspective to function, how much ever technically we are correct, how much ever sentimentally we are correct, we may not be able to be still classified as a practicing, sincere devotee. So Arjuna did mistakes. Indra did mistakes. Brahma did mistakes. But they are still classified as devotees. Because some of them, they did technical mistakes. Some of them, they did sentimental mistakes. But what they were not doing, they are accepting the authority of the Lord, giving respect to the authority of the Lord, following the footsteps of the authority of the Lord, ready to ask for forgiveness to the authority of the Lord. These are all very important, dynamics in Krishna consciousness, which if we miss, if we just apply our professional learning ability, our intellectual learning ability, probably we will be a head-weighted scholar, but not be a bhakta. For us to be a bhakta, our heart has to be softened. Our heart has to definitely accept the authorities of Shastras. This is my first reflection. Because unless and otherwise, we have this understanding. Unless and otherwise, so hence, why I'm saying this is, we are not attending Bhagavatam class because Nityam Bhagavata Sevya, bola na. So I will attend every day Bhagavatam class. Every day I will do certain things. It is just not a monotonous activity. For sure, for doing nothing, instead of doing nothing, if somebody do this, it's great, glorious, they will definitely make progress. But if they add this additional understanding, a perspective, a right attitude, Prabhupada explains two words in the beginning of Nectar of Devotion. One is cultivation. He says, consciousness alone won't help. The consciousness that you have built has to be translated into cultivation. Cultivation means doing something favorable in Krishna consciousness and relinquishing something which is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. So the sum and substance of my first reflection is, when we are reading, such shlokas where the importance to Vedic literatures are given, and these stories, these historical, narrations are meant to help us empathize or try to, put ourselves in their shoes and try to learn. Because these episodes will help us to identify our mistakes. These episodes will help us to map our consciousness level and then decide the course of action. So the Ajamila, story, very famous in Srimad Bhagavatam, has got several wonderful lessons that I'm sure you all will churn it. But to get into it, let's get into that with an understanding. It is a historical reference, episode that happened, and not just somebody's, a fairy tale story that somebody just wrote it for all of us. So hence, let us accept the authority of the scripture. The second reflection that I want to share here is about in the journey of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada writes in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, shloka number 3. He writes, the last paragraph of that purport, he says, Atasri Krishna Namadi Nabhavet Grahyam Indriyai Sevon Mukehi Jihvado Swayam Yevas Pratyataha. The reason Prabhupada writes that is, that very shloka 7.3 Bhagavad Gita is talking about Manushyanam Sahasreshu. How not everyone can understand Krishna. How not everyone can't reach Krishna. Then Krishna himself is eventually revealing several secrets how somebody can go to him. But in that purport, Prabhupada writes that many people may actually mock, may actually joke, may actually tease us, saying that this guy cannot do yoga, this guy cannot do fire sacrifice, this guy cannot practice some complicated stuff. That's why they have taken up bhakti. Just some sort of a cheap arrangement. They don't know anything else to do, so they just sing and dance. It is meant for Gaya Gujra, somebody who has not understood the quote-unquote aspect of Krishna consciousness or spirituality. That's how many people proclaim. Prabhupada writes there. And then he makes a statement that it is not like that. For us to actually perform proper devotional service, one has to understand the content and context of the Shastras and take that content and context and apply it in the form of performing service to Supreme Lord. So how will I know that I have accepted the authority? How will I know I have accepted the Shastras? How will I know I am serious in Krishna consciousness? How will I know that I actually love Krishna? Prabhupada explains, you'll only know when you can map the amount of service. Atasri Krishna Namadi Na Bhavet Grahyam Indriyai Sevon Mukehi Jihvadav Swayam Yevas Pratyataha. If somebody, from looking at the service that person is doing, in the consciousness in which the service is being done, the commitment in which the service is being done, one can ascertain how much he is bhakta, how much he is serious, how much he is properly situated in the spiritual understanding. The first reflection we spoke, how to get the spiritual understanding. The second reflection is how to evaluate if we are situated properly. How to evaluate? We can evaluate only when we know how are we doing our services correctly. Every day when we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra 2 hours a day, what are we chanting? O energy of the Lord, O all attractive, O all pleasing, please engage me in your service. O energy of the Lord, O all attractive, O all pleasing, please engage me in your service. So we keep on asking them to the Lord. Can you imagine? Just I was thinking the other day, instead of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you use this English words. For 2 hours, you are only repeating the same thing. And if you tell a person every day, 2 hours, the same thing, what do you expect that the person to think of you? He will take you seriously. Oh, maybe this person is very serious. He's asking me every day, please engage me in your service, please engage me in your service, please engage me in your service. So he arranges for a service. And what do we respond? Sir, I'm busy here. We are not well. I can't do this. It's not convenient to me. This is not what I like. This is not my capacity. Several reasons. We only give excuses or we only try to do it for a formality. In general, there are sincere souls. Some of you are all, most of you are all, or all of you are all, already accomplished. But there is a category who tend to not take services seriously. So my second point is, if we have understood the Siddhanta, if you have accepted the authority, if you have surrendered to the authority, the natural progression is we will be doing services. The reason I am saying this point is, this has got three aspects to it. If I have to do services, number one, I should have a service. Number two, I should have an authority who should have given me service. Number three, I should have a proper mindset to execute a service. All the three are very important. And this service, we need to be very strongly attached. There is a very interesting story which I have shared in another forum. The story of Anantacharya. This is a very famous story. Anantacharya one day went to Srimad Ramanujacharya, and Srimad Ramanujacharya told him, you please go to Tirumala Tirupati along with your wife, and you please construct a pushkarani, a very nice pond for the daily deity worship of the Lord. So Anantacharya, his wife was pregnant. So with all sincerity, he came to Tirumala Tirupati and he was working on constructing the pond. So every day his service is from morning till evening, he used his crowbar and try to dig the pond. And his wife used to carry the collected sand and used to throw it and come. So one day a small boy came, and the small boy said, my dear sir, you both seem to be struggling alone. How about me joining you in the service? So Anantacharya said, it's not required because I am given this service by my Gurudev, and me and my wife are supposed to do the service. You don't need to, disturb, or you don't need to, do anything. So this boy was persuasive, but somehow Anantacharya said that no, it is not required. Then somehow this boy went to Anantacharya's wife. So he went to her and said that, my dear mother, you seem to be pregnant and you seem to be having a little difficulty in doing the service. How about I give you a helping hand? She said that, no, my Prabhu has said no, which means no to me also. But he said, don't worry, I will go and stand little far away so that your Prabhu doesn't see me. Instead of you walking such a long distance to go and throw the collected sand, you come halfway, the remaining half I will run for you. Somehow this boy convinced Anantacharya's wife, so she got convinced, and very soon this team of boy and the lady, they were doing the service, and Anantacharya suddenly observed the pace and speed in which her wife used to go and throw and come. It increased. Previously she used to take X amount of time. Now she got to do it in 50% of the time. So doubting what is going on, so he went to check out what was going on, and he found this boy helping this, helping his wife. Anantacharya got so upset that he started chasing that boy. You rascal, I told you that don't disturb. You again and again coming our way. So he started chasing that boy, and the boy started running all the way till the temple main entrance of Tirumala Tirupati. And he started running inside the temple. Anantacharya wouldn't stop, go on chasing that boy. And the boy started running in the opposite direction, anti-clockwise direction in the temple, and suddenly vanished. And in the meanwhile, before the boy was running, because the Anantacharya couldn't catch hold of that boy, he had this crowbar in his hand. He hit that boy on his forehead. So the boy was actually profusely bleeding on his forehead and his chin. But in spite of that, he somehow escaped from Anantacharya, ran and eventually vanished. When the temple opened, they found Tirupati Balaji Govinda. He was bleeding profusely on his forehead and his chin. Nobody could understand what was going on, but Anantacharya could understand. If you all go to Tirumala Tirupati next time, if you are just entering the main sanctum sanctorium, there is one entrance before that. On the right hand side, you will see that crowbar with which the Lord God is beating from Anantacharya is still kept. In fact, to heal his wound, they apply butter. So the Balaji, the tilak that he is wearing, the white portion of tilak is actually butter. He is applying that butter on his forehead and his chin to get healing from the wound created by Anantacharya. Now, what is the rasa of this story? The rasa of this story is Anantacharya had three primary understanding. My Gurudev has given me this service. This is my constitutional nature. I cannot give up this service, so I will be attached to that service and not relinquish them. In the process, anyone comes to disturb, it is not out of his arrogance or rudeness or try to, behave in this manner. It was out of his attachment to the service. He didn't want to relinquish. So the part that I want to tell as a part of second reflection is, it is imperative that we as practicing devotees, we need to have an authority. We need to get service from the authority, and we need to make sure the service is done to the fullest satisfaction of the authority, so that our love towards the Supreme Lord is expressed. Today, how are we expressing our love for the Supreme Lord? Maybe by, putting some money in the hundi, or maybe bringing some boga to the Lord, or maybe giving some dress to the Lord, or doing something. But devotional service means service. Devotional service means engaging in activity for the pleasure of the Lord unconditionally, without any personal expectations. So my second reflection is, the only test, the only evaluation, or one of the main evaluation for us to know if I am accepting the authority and following the authority of the Shastra means I will be performing devotional service consistently, which I will own on behalf, and I will be accountable for it. So if I do not have a service, if I have a very sporadic service, or if I am just, so thankful, my God, nobody has bothered me enough, then we are not properly situated. So hence my second reflection is that in our journey to Krishna consciousness, it is extremely important for us to subscribe to an active service. If you are not having an active, committed, engaging service, please plead. The way we are pleading to Nam Prabhu, the way we are pleading to Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are pleading to Krishna, please engage me in your service. We have to plead to our spiritual master and spiritual authority, please engage me in your service. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Kariya Aikya. Your words are everything to me, my dear Gurudev. Please give me an instruction, I will perform. The challenge is, Gurudev himself cannot give instruction. So Gurudev will pass an instruction through his, authorized channel. The technical understanding here is, each and every one of us should have an active engagement in Krishna consciousness, where we are accountable, answerable, and we are expressing our love towards the Supreme Lord. So this is a very important component, because as I mentioned earlier, this is an emotional aspect of Krishna consciousness. You may perform festivities, you may learn knowledge, but if you are not longing to serve Krishna, if you are not longing for Krishna, if you are not feeling separation from Krishna, then probably we will be limping in Krishna consciousness, but not making necessary progress. So this is my second reflection, and a very important one that we all need to learn to. The third and the last one in this context here is, so it is about the spiritual science altogether. So Prabhupada mentions that unintelligent men cannot understand the content of Puranas and Itihasas. So now we initially said we will understand authority, and surrender to that authority. And our surrender to the authority will be exhibited in the form of a service. Now, the third aspect and the most important aspect is because the unintelligent men, as Prabhupada writes, the Puranas or old histories are sometimes neglected by unintelligent men who consider their descriptions mythological. What Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions about this is, please don't have heart-to-heart relationship with those who are not Krishna conscious. The reason is, there's a book called Bhaktya Loka. If you get a chance, please read them. This book is about the 6 favorable qualities of Krishna consciousness and 6 unfavorable qualities of Krishna consciousness. That the first, second and third verse of Nectar of Instruction, each of the quality Bhaktivinoda Thakur is elaborating. While elaboration, Bhaktivinoda Thakur very specifically mentions that it is a duty of the practitioner to ensure whom to associate, in what consciousness he has to associate, and whom he should not associate, and in for what things he should not share with whom. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, as grahasthas, as practicing devotees, one need to have a heart-to-heart relationship with the Supreme Lord, with the Supreme Lord's agents, with the holy name. But the same relationship cannot be with the materialistic person. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving an argument saying that it is not that people are bad, but because they don't understand the mood and consciousness and dynamics of Krishna consciousness, they may wrongly direct you, they may misdirect you, they may have their concern for you, but the solution they would give may not be conducive to Krishna consciousness. So hence, a devotee, a practicing devotee, should learn to be discreet, learn to be objective in whom to associate and whom not associate. The reason I'm telling this third point is, one of the biggest obstacle for us to do the first and second reflection is our mixed lifestyle, where we have very close friends outside of Krishna consciousness. I'm not advocating anything about we should not have friends outside of Krishna consciousness, but we should be very careful what to share, what to learn, what to be discreet about, and what to only give, not take. This may sound a bit funny, but that's exactly how the direction has been given. It is important, we need to give as much Krishna consciousness as possible to all the innocent, to all the ignorant, and try to be very careful with those who are faithless and who are not accepting the authority of Vedic literature. So if our family, friends, neighbors, relatives, colleagues, if they are very close to us, but somehow or other not subscribing to the Vedic ideologies or to the principles of Krishna consciousness, we better try to be very, very discreet and maybe give them Krishna consciousness, not that we try to carry their ideologies. In my last several years of being in Krishna Consciousness Association, one of the areas where we have been struggling, I have been struggling, is because we try to accept materialistic association as serious and spiritual association as less serious and try to push them aside. So if we are not trying to take the spiritual association seriously, if you are not trying to subscribe to the spiritual understanding given by devotees and try to be discreet to the unintelligent man, because Prabhupada repeatedly, not even in this place, in various other places, Prabhupada is trying to say that it is very important that a person needs to learn asat sanga tyagat yei vaishnavachara. So for us to effectively perform our service to Guru and Gauranga, one need to learn to avoid heart-to-heart relationship with unintelligent men. Unintelligent men here refers to those who are 4th class or 5th class of men, which means one who propagate ideologies against Vedic literature, or one who have their own ideologies and stopping us from practicing Vedic literature. The current society is challenged with the problem that if I don't understand something, I will mock at them. What happens is that the younger generation, if you go and tell them, or the non-believers of spirituality, if you go and tell them about the science of Krishna consciousness, they only simply come back and say that what you guys are saying is false. And the reason they are saying it is false is they are not able to comprehend. So what is the easiest way? Since I can't comprehend, I will mock at them. I will gang up and mock at them so that the person who presented the science of Krishna consciousness may get doubt about his own offerings, his own presentation, and probably we will be able to win. That's the trend that is going on. If I don't know, I will mock at it. I will make fun of it. I will critique about it. I will abuse it. I will try to make, whatever comments I'll pass about it, so that the person who actually presented, he feels guilty about it. And that is how they have been organically, scientifically breaking the faiths of practitioners. If you kind of dislocate or remove, or if try to demean the power of authorities, Vedic literature, teachers, role models, then naturally we will not be able to get to learn. Somebody mentioned this point to me earlier. He said that by disrespecting teachers, by disregarding the role models, by mocking at the family value system, the modern education has very conveniently eradicated the Vedic values. Because in earlier days, we used to learn from teachers. We used to, have role models from the Shastras, and naturally within the family ecosystem, we have a respect and bonding quotient. So now the whole scenario is Tera mujhko arpan, jai jagadish hare. Not mera tujhko arpan. How I can get yours to me, not mine to you. For us, the Supreme Lord is like we are operating a kiosk. We go and put money in the hundi and say, now what? What am I getting? Kya fayda mil raha hai? What benefit am I getting? So with that mindset, with that frame of mind, we will not be able to function. And this is all coming from our adultered association. So my third and last reflection is this adultered association, this unintelligent men's association is something which is very dangerous. Having said that, Prabhupada made a comment. He says, this whole Krishna consciousness movement is made by transforming unintelligent to intelligent. Papi tapi jata chilo, hari name udhari lo, tara sakshi jagai madai. I said this the last couple of classes also. Everybody in this, movement have not come from a very self-realized journey. We have not come from like a, padhara. We have not come from the spiritual world, came down here. We were all having our own sinful lives. But what Prabhupada says, the success of this process is papi tapi jata chilo. Even if somebody had been unintelligent and sinful, hari name udhari lo. If they are somehow exposed to the Hari Nam process, they will be able to get transformed. So hence the solution had always been, as we all know, it is about the chanting of the holy name of the Lord and this Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. The Sankirtan mission that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has started, is the only basis on which this unintelligent status can be transformed, cleansed, and established to an intelligent status. And that is possible only when we are subscribing to this process of Krishna consciousness. So we are very fortunate that in our lives we have Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada's disciples, and Srila Prabhupada's instructions. And even till now, we are all given opportunity to participate in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. So our hence duty should be that somehow or other we accept the authority of the Shastras, engage ourselves in devotional service, and watch out for a association and try to be careful whom to associate heart to heart, whom to associate to help, whom to associate to respect, and whom to associate just arm's length. Because it is important, there are some category of people to whom we should help, some category of people whom should we serve, some category of people whom should we respect, and some category of people whom we should learn from. So we need to classify them, and some people we should be staying away from also. Prahlad Maharaj never, disrespected his dad, but he never learned from his dad. He always disobeyed his dad. He never disrespected, but he disobeyed. So sometimes in our associations, we need to be discreet. So that's my, third reflection. So to summarize our understanding in today's discussion, we had 3 sets of reflections. The first set of reflection is about the establishment of authority and how Shastra is a Shastra Brahman. Shastra is our mother. So the authority of Shastras have to be definitely accepted. The way Arjuna accepted. Arjuna first surrendered to the Lord. Then he expressed his difficulty to the Lord, heard from the Lord, asked questions to the Lord, understood the Lord's message, assimilated them, experienced them, he took a decision. And that is how the spiritual knowledge needs to be learned. So let us learn from the way Arjuna learned. And spiritual knowledge is supposed to be learned in that way only. It cannot be learned in the process of challenging. If we are able to accept the authority of the scriptures as well as the spiritual authorities, then naturally the next progression is you will develop love for the process, and your love for the process is exhibited by performance of devotional service. And the devotional service needs to be done unconditionally, which was my second reflection. When we perform service, which means you need to have an authority, you need to be obeying, surrendering to the authority, asking for some service. And number 3 is able to do the service to the fullest satisfaction of the authority. The third aspect is that if for us to perform 1 and 2, we need to also make sure to choose our association, shield ourselves, as Prabhupada explains, that we cannot, just go by unintelligent men's suggestions. We should not call our own literatures mythology. We need to know that, as I mentioned, the emotional part of Krishna consciousness need to be given utmost importance. Technically, we may be Bhakti Shastris. Technically, we may be second initiated. We may have several acumen to sing songs, give class, perform arati, everything else. But if our consciousness is not honed in, if they are not properly groomed for glorifying Krishna, for serving Krishna, and then probably we are having a missing link. So hence, through this episode of Ajamila, very nicely, the entire aspect of Krishna consciousness is going to be explained. There's a book by name Second Chance, which is based on this Ajamila's story. In that book, Prabhupada writes a concept called Ardha Kukuti Nyaya. He says he's using an example of a half hen philosophy. He says that let us not try to be a practitioner of a half hen philosophy. I can very well reflect upon it and say that probably I have the disease because we always wanted the rear side of the hen, which is hatching golden eggs. But the cost of maintaining that hen, I'm not ready to bear it. I always want Krishna to perform a best performance. I go and blame the Lord. My dear Lord, why are you not giving your results? But never question, how am I, conducting myself? So hence, this Ajamila story is going to teach us some very interesting lessons, very informative as well as very relevant to our context. Because Ajamila was a Brahmana, so born Brahmana. And how all these 3 aspects that I said comes in this Ajamila's life, where how he was learned one, he was performing very wonderful service, but because of the wrong association, and somehow he put his energy on the association, he got drifted away, but eventually got saved too. So in that process, the glories of the holy name the evil effects of bad association and several concepts Srila Prabhupada is very nicely dealing with. Probably in the future sessions, you will all learn them. So I would like to stop here. We had these 3 sets of reflections. I'm sure you're all learned and enthusiastic devotees. So if there are any mistakes, comments, corrections, reflections, questions from what we discussed in the last 45 minutes, I'll be happy to respond. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaurav Premanande, Hari Hari
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. What an amazing class, Prabhu. Thank you so much. What a beautiful class. You started with the 10 subject matters, how the Bhagavatam starts, what it gives us, and then you spoke so much about importance of Puranas and histories that we have. Thanks to our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. You talked beautifully about the Vedic education system and the modern education system. So true, Prabhu. Today, even when we go to learn, there is ego. But on the other side, I think there is also this greed of money instead of just giving knowledge, which was not present in the Vedic, even though there was Diksha system, but today is different. We all can realize that. And very nicely, Prabhu, you elaborated technical point in the Krishna consciousness, who I am, body and whatnot, and the sentimental point, festivities that we have, how to dress the deities, so many beautiful points, and the emotional point, in what consciousness our services is. Are we really loving Krishna? That's the end point. And what a beautiful pastime of Anantacharya, Prabhu. What a beautiful story. And so much importance of service you talked about. And in fact, we all connect more and more to Krishna and Radharani because of service. Otherwise, it's very difficult to connect with our lordships. You beautifully talked about we should try to stick as much as we can with the Siddhanta that Srila Prabhupada gave us. And actually, that is good for remaining of Kali Yuga, how long Kali Yuga is, because Srila Prabhupada's words are everything for us. And you beautifully talked about association, and the example was so nice. Prahlad Maharaj, even the dad was there, but he refused what was not good. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much for such a beautiful class, Prabhu. Prabhu, with your permission, we can go to the question answer session because there are other. Anuradha Mataji, Hare Krishna. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you, Raj Prabhu. Thank you, Ramagiridhari Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. As always, very alarming, very alerting, and beautiful. An awakening class, Prabhu. Thank you. Prabhu, I have 2 questions. One thing is, when we get, like you said, usually what has been observed, at least talking for myself, when Guru Maharaj will give an instruction, we will take it very seriously. My Guru Maharaj said it. But as soon as it comes from the temple authority, I have to, all logic, all reasoning, everything comes into picture. Can we take it, Prabhu, that Gurudev is only giving the, he is giving it through this, via this different channel, different authorities. It's his instruction. Can we be in that mood, Prabhu?
So a very valid, important question. And it is to be noted that the source from where the service is coming is definitely need to be validated. But if we expect only the source to directly come and give the service, then it is very difficult. If you have the sense of discrimination to note that this is, because what happens, Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, concept of about exploitation and how one should not exploit someone and neither should get exploited. So we have got histories and geographies of information of how sometimes in Krishna consciousness things are taken for granted, both at the service end as well as at the authority end. We need to know that there is something called as loka-like devotion. In fact, Chaitanya Charitamrita, in one place, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that there are 2 saplings. One is Bhakti Lata, another one is a look-alike of Bhakti Lata. There are several weeds that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is speaking about. One of the weed is actually a look-alike of Bhakti. Looks exactly like Bhakti. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes that unless a person is under an able guidance, have the maturity in differentiating the original with the duplicate. He may water the duplicate and uproot the original, so be careful. So definitely I want to warn and, educate all of us. We need to get educated to make sure the source of information, from where it is coming, if it is coming from the right channel of authority. Even if you do not get directly from the authority, if it is in the chain of authority, that is okay. This is number one answer. So which means you need to be careful that the source of the service where you are getting from is clarified. At the same time, there is something called as general love and care for the Supreme Lord and his resources and his preaching mission. For example, I am standing in the temple. There's a person who has walked inside the temple and is smoking cigarette. If I say that, okay, according to my description, nobody has given me a service to go and question that person, so I should not be doing that. That is not logically correct. Sometimes, I mean, with all due respect, sometimes we could be as bookish as we could be, that we may miss a very common sense factor. So a devotee means a gentleman and an advanced, consciousness person. So which means you need to have certain services which doesn't need a kind of a pre-clarification or a kind of a description about you should be doing this or not. It is according to our natural love towards our authority, towards our process, towards the Supreme Lord. So we have to take it up upon ourselves and do it. If you see a child, coming to the temple, naturally you can go to them and, welcome them, give them Krishna consciousness, give them stuff like that. So we need not be bookish. I'm sure you know that, but since we are having this question, we are discussing this part. At the same time, having said these 2 points, we also need to understand this authority comes only by our enthusiasm. So you are given service proportionate to enthusiasm and proportionate to how much my previous services have been done. Suppose, for example, I have been given a service. I have not done the service enthusiastically and not satisfactorily. And if I am not getting a further service, not to blame an authority. So hence, let us revisit always before checking out that Mataji, this Prabhuji, that Bacha has been given service, why not me? Somewhere we have to do introspect. So I said 3 things. Number 1, for sure the source of service. Number 2, common sense involved in the service. Third is accountability once taken the service, so that next time you are given more service and not deprived of one. Next sense, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu, completely, it makes sense. I mean, around it, I had the question that can we, as you said, of course, what I was talking about, valid source from a temple, I was talking, temple authority. So can we think like this service is also given by my Guru Maharaj? Only
absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if it is not directly from his mouth.
Yes, no, it is not. Once Indradyumna Maharaj was in Radha Gopinath temple in Mumbai. He was giving a class, and one of the disciples or students who are attendees asked the question to Indradyumna Maharaj, saying that, Gurudev, if I also get instruction directly from you or my spiritual master, I will feel enthusiastic enough to perform the service. At the time, Maharaj made a very profound point. He said, I'm talking about this is 15, 20 years before. He said, Jayapataka Maharaj at the time had 10,000 disciples. If Jayapataka Maharaj has to pick up the phone and call every single disciple and say, here is your service, you do it. Probably by the time he reaches out to his 10,000 disciple, it will be like, no, it will be 30 years or maybe 40 years. Probably he may not be able to reach out to them. So he then mentioned a point saying that it is imperative for every disciple that anytime he is attending the class of the spiritual master, or anytime he is sitting in a Bhagavatam class, the Bhagavatam class, the spiritual master is speaking to you. When you read Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is speaking to you. Oh, Prabhuji, so many instructions are coming, which is relevant to me. All the instructions are important. The relevance is set by your local authority. That is why Prabhupada's system is, you always think globally, internationally, inter-universally, Golok Vrindavan Dham is your target, but act locally. You stay in the place where which yatra you are associated to, where your services are associated, where you have local association, where people know your activities. We need to know that it is actually coming from Gurudev. It is impossible without the mercy of Guru, we are getting any service. It is his recommendation, his authority. You became Anuradha Devi Dasi because of him. He has made a recommendation. He has taken a commitment to rescue you. So from that perspective, the services are coming from Gurudev only. And the credit has to be given to him and the debit has to be taken to your account. So we should not do the other way around. So the credit should be not taken by ourselves and debit should be Prabhu, Gurudev. It is because of you, putting me in the service. I have a lot of stress. We cannot say that. We take all the success of the service, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. If the service did not go well, oh sorry, something did not go well. I will try to improve upon. That's our process.
Wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you. And I had another question. The question is like, Prabhu, like when a service is given, like as you said, I've heard in Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj's lecture also, you are asking for 2 hours every day for service and the service comes and you say no. This is so standard. But at the same time, Prabhu, I mean, I don't like to use the word practical, but the body gives up after a certain time. Even if I want every day to cook for Kalachandji, I cannot do it because my body, at least not at this age that I'm able to. One day I do, second time they ask me, I have to think, can I do it? Of course, have a family and all that stuff. Even if I don't think about it, but the body itself does not allow to go beyond the limit. So how do we do, Prabhu? I mean, we are still saying no to the service, whatever is the reason. So how do we look at that, Prabhu?
There was a devotee by name Narsingananda Brahmachari. This Narsingananda Brahmachari was a very poor Brahmachari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan Dham. Let me first give a principle, then we will talk about the current context. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan Dham, and Narsingananda Brahmachari want to accompany Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But for some reason, financial resources, availability, health, wealth, several reasons in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he couldn't travel with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he decided that I will serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what he did was that he sat at his home, and when Mahaprabhu was traveling to Vrindavan, he was already meditating that he was traveling with Mahaprabhu, as if when he was with Mahaprabhu, what all services he would have done. I would massage Mahaprabhu's feet, I will wash his clothes, I will bring him some flowers, I'll serve him some, wonderful prasadam, wonderful boga, and several things, whatever. I will make sure that on the way, I'll give him cool breeze, I'll fan him, whatever that he wanted. He kept on praying, meditating, thinking about it. Mahaprabhu, when he came back, after Vrindavan, several visits came back, he went and came and gave a hug to Narasimhananda Brahmachari and said, thank you so much. The services that you rendered were very nice. So, the principle of Krishna consciousness in our spiritual life is, our principle is, we are serving more by consciousness than by action. Of course, action is very important. Whenever we are not in action, we feel separation from our service, thinking about the service, longing about the service. When will I go for the service? Is in itself good enough. Krishna is not an impractical person. Krishna is not expecting you today to do what Haridas Thakur did, what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj did. Krishna is only saying, look at this. Krishna has asked you to set a benchmark to yourself. You perform 10% above or below is acceptable. But if you suddenly expect 50% below, then there is a cause of concern. Suddenly you do 50% above, there is also a cause of concern. It is explained in Madhurya Kadambini. Ghana Tarala. There are 6 vices Madhurya Kadambini expresses. Over enthusiasm, under enthusiasm, both are dangerous. Sudden sprouting of, suddenly you feel like, I will read Bhagavad Gita and probably 3 days I will finish 4 chapters. But next 30 days you will not even touch. So there are such feelings are there, these are all part of anishtita bhajana kriya. Our bhajana kriya not being very firmly fixed, it is anishtita. So the practical answer is, number one, Krishna is definitely wanting us to balance it out. Sadhana, seva, sangha, sadachar. Sadhana 2 hours, seva whatever number of time that you want to do. So, sangha for sure, as much as we can, that bhakti sangha class or personal sangha. What is sadachar? The remaining aspect of the day, the way you deal with your husband, the way you deal with your neighbor, the way you deal with your friend, the way you deal with others, it's part of sadachar. There's a question by Tiffany Mataji. I want to respond to that also. The point is, it is important that when we are devotees does not mean that we are supposed to definitely choose our association to learn from, but we have to give our love to everyone. So from that perspective, our sadachar consumes all our part of the day. So if we do this classification, for sure you are Krishna conscious, and our boundaries we can keep on shifting up and up and up as much as we are surrendering. Haridas Thakur could chant 22 hours a day. We need not imitate. We cannot imitate. We should not imitate. At the same time, we cannot be complacent and be satisfied saying that 16 rounds are done. So I am, set in my Krishna consciousness. If you remember Vritrasura's pastime, the reason Vritrasura's pastime, began was this mentality of Indra being complacent. What was Indra's allegation on Indra? He said, now my Mangalarti is done. Bhagavatam class is done. Now it is my time for watching channel. So he turned on, sat on the, asan and started looking at the dance of the Apsaras. He got so much captivated into that, he couldn't notice his own Guru Maharaj coming in. That's all he did. The complacency, the lax that we try to bring in, because sometimes we tell ourselves that probably now that I have, did, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours of Krishna consciousness, now it is my time, me time. Our time is not me time, it is our time. Me and my Paramatma, me and my conscience, me and my thinking. So keep continuously thinking how I can serve the Lord or how I'm going to miss the Lord. I'll tell you, I think I told the story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita session. That is how in Vrindavan, devotees used to do. More than their service, they will always think of how I am missing my service. So that itself is also a service. So to summarize, in your case of when health, family, social circumstances disallow you or cannot function, it is important for us to note that the feeling of separation from that service is in itself going to increase the capacity of doing that service. Are we missing the service? Which means internally in your consciousness, you can miss service. You can miss Krishna. You can miss, or you will miss association. And that is what is going to be gauged. And you will be given promotion. Oh my God, he is missing me. So Krishna will come forward. Oh, he is. How many times would have missed Krishna? Are we missing Krishna? Probably not. We are missing Krishna only when we have challenges. So we immediately go to see him. We miss Krishna independent of challenges. So then we will start enjoying. We will become a very natural. Krishna is our family member, or we are family of Krishna. So when we position ourselves in that context, the whole relationship is different. It is not a formality. My service to Krishna is not a formality. It is absolutely my love for him. Make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Completely makes sense. Of course, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know if I long for the service, but I do the service with all the honesty, with all the sincerity I have, whatever little it is. Longing part, I need your blessing, Prabhu, and prayers. I don't know if I really long for it, but I wish I long for it. I desire to long for it. But it's so many different aspects of what you said, Prabhu. We need to, meditate upon those. But thank you so much. You have been always so helpful in giving such practical answers. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Please pray for me and bless me so that I may remain in the proper Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
One of the Alvars in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, he's singing a song. He's saying, Poyen, Poyen, Endru solli Meyyen agi vandene. What it means is, The Salwar is saying, I have been bluffing that I have been performing service. I'm a devotee, I've been bluffing and behaved like a devotee, but one day I became a devotee. So the point is, I mean, even apparently speaking, I'm not trying to propose anybody to bluff. I'm saying even if you try to force yourself, that is why we always say, I was in Houston last year, so we were discussing this. Krishna consciousness means it is like a, I'm not sure how many of you have been to Mumbai. It is like boarding a Mumbai local train on a Monday morning in Kurla Andheri station. I do not know if anybody knows this. Please Google, YouTube this. You will see what it means. There's a knack of getting inside the train. I have been to this. I'm in Mumbai. The way it is you have to position yourself in front of the gate, and that's all. You have to make sure there is somebody in front of you and somebody behind you. You will definitely be inside the train, and that's the same techniques to come out of the train. In Krishna consciousness is like that. Make sure we are sandwiched between devotees and the service. So even if you do not long for it, you will be called for it. Just don't be irritated when they're calling you. Please note that it is Krishna's arrangement they're calling you. So sandwich between service and Vaishnavas, I'm sure you will one day find it very, very enjoyable. And more so, it is like the moment we start developing that love zone, as mother, you may feel fatigued for serving for your children, but you'll feel happy about it. The idea is that it is very nicely, done when we have a love, even though there's a fatigue. So fatigueness after a point in time will get, cleansed. Love only remains, how much ever pain you may have as a part of that service. All the best. I'll pray for you, me, and all the devotees to be wonderful servants in the army of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Jai, thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you for your association, and we need more. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Radha Mataji. Thank you, like always, for asking beautiful questions that will help all of us. Thank you, Prabhu, such a beautiful and elaborated answer. Thank you so much. Dr. Vandana Mataji, please go ahead. Mataji, you are muted.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry. Am I audible now? Audible? Okay.
Yes.
Prabhuji, first of all, thank you so much. The class was very nice, and I really loved the 3 reflections you were talking about. My question also a little related to what Anuradha Mataji was asking. It's in continuation with that only. So I have been I personally felt, and everybody around me also used to say that I'm a very extremely enthusiastic, for the devotional services. Like I used to really always crave for them. And I have been very blessed to be given a lot of services in last 1 year's time. Now, what started happening was that the other Vaishnavas, the people in the team, group, they were, some of them, not all of them, but a handful of them started feeling uncomfortable that how come she's performing everything, how come she's doing better. I really don't even know how it used to happen. So a lot of politics started happening. That is my experience totally. So where I was not able to handle that, speaking to my Shiksha Guruji also, he would always tell me, "Galti kisi ki bhi ho." I mean, I'm speaking in Hindi, what he used to say, "Maafi aap hi mangoge," because you are the leader. So I started doing it because it's the instruction of my Shiksha Guru. So after a period of time, it started impacting. I'm lost. Like today, when you touch this topic, it has again come to me because Prabhuji, without services, I feel that's my lifeline. I cannot live without serving Krishna. So I've started playing very small in my life now. Like I've started taking very small, maybe some bhajans, maybe book reading sessions for a lot of Matajis and some small services in the temple. So is it better? My question is it better to do the services, the devotional services for Krishna just solely rather than becoming part of the group? Because it might impact my spiritual journey as well as the spiritual journey of other, the devotees who are in the team. So that's my question, Prabhuji. So I'm really struggling in that. If you could throw some light and really yank me out of it, I'll be grateful to you.
Thank you so much for this question. And by the answers, I'm not trying to exclude myself from such problems. I am also a sadhaka, but I will definitely throw some light on my understanding. I would like to give an example of soldier army. Basically, we are all called soldiers in Sankirtan mission. Can you ever think of a soldier trying to do a lone fight? Any soldier is called a soldier only when there are some missionaries who may function independently. But if I am called a soldier, you will just imagine the mapping of a life of a soldier. The life of a soldier starts much, much before he got enrolled into the army. His preparation, his body fitness, his daily regime, his food, his tummy, his chati, so many things are going to be counted. He has to have a pre-qualification. Then he has to be qualified and get enrolled in the soldier army. When he's in a soldier, there are 4 components that he has to follow: discipline, cooperation, broad-mindedness, and loyalty. These 4 things are definitely important. Otherwise, he cannot be a soldier. If he is not disciplined, he cannot function. If he is not cooperative, he cannot support others. What is broad-mindedness? Suppose, for example, 12 of us are going towards an attacking arrangement. Anyone can make mistake, but all of us have to help each other. Otherwise, all 12 of us will get the whack. That is what broad-mindedness. You are in the army, you made a mistake, you figure it out, and you have to go and answer to your captain. That is not a right spirit, because I am part of the same 12-member team. We have been aligned to that fight. So, and last but not least, loyalty. The loyalty is about independent of all the challenges, I will still stay put as a soldier. Otherwise, I will, there's no point in me calling a soldier. Now, keep this aside. By we following these 4 points, discipline, cooperation, broad-mindedness, and loyalty, what happens to our spiritual life is we go 1 notch up in our spiritual cadre. How, when a soldier becomes, I do not know the cadre is proper nomenclature, when he goes to next higher level means more problems, more nuisances, more challenges, more tortures, but still more perseverance, more patience. Then if he tolerates that, he go further up. Then he go further up. The more up in the cadre, that is why Guru means heavy. So, one of the things that Prabhupada taught, I'll tell you a story. Two devotees came to Srila Prabhupada. And he came to Srila Prabhupada, and several times I've told the story, but it is very important in this context. They came to Prabhupada and gave $50,000. They came from South Africa, some part of Africa, Kenya, Nairobi, somewhere. They came and gave $50,000 check to Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur. And after giving that money to Srila Prabhupada, this is our book distribution funds. So our GBC Brahmananda Prabhu had asked us to give this money to you. Prabhupada collected it and said, thank you so much. And these 2 men were standing there only. So Prabhupada said, what's the matter? So Srila Prabhupada, we are constructing a temple in Africa. We needed some money as a loan. Can you give us some money? Prabhupada said, I don't have money. But Prabhupada, we just now gave you $50,000. The book distribution was done in the same yatra. The proceeds of them is have to go to the construction of the same temple in the yatra. So my GBC asked to ask a loan from you. Prabhupada said, I don't have money. And then he made a statement. He said, our spiritual master used to always say, always put us in anxiety and never give things easily, because the moment things are given easily, you will have a complacency. I am not trying to, cover up that others' mistakes and the pain they would have given you is incorrect. It is important that in the ladder, when you go up in spirituality, how much you are embracing them, trying to forgive and trying to accommodate, and at the same time not exploited. This is a formula. Very difficult formula to apply. I have to make sure I don't exploit, neither get exploited, accommodate, and take them along and move forward. And this is exactly what our Guru is doing to us. And this is exactly what our Guru is expecting of us. I'm running an organization. I have 55 people working for me. I would expect my line managers to solve the problem at their end. If my line manager is bringing the rank and file problem to my table, I would say, my dear sir, you are hired to look after that at your level. I am sure you have a problem. I am sure you are facing some challenges. But please note that you are supposed to handle that. In Krishna conscious voluntary service, sometimes we may feel, bas karo yaar, itna parishani se acha hum akele Bhagwan se puja kar lete hain. I will make sure that I will akele, perform to the Lord. But just imagine 1 minute. If what our seniors had said that to us, bas karo Mataji, aap apna dunya dekh lo, I am busy with my own service, we would have not come this far. I am saying that we also gave tantrums. We also gave, quote unquote, parishaniya in our own capacity, not intentionally. Every child would have given their own pain and pleasure to the parents. So when we have become an adult, all the other younger ones are child. So we learn to take them along. Only principle is, where is your boundary? Are you getting exploited? Somebody is taking you for granted. And that time you can definitely be expressive and clarify and not get exploited. You need not be. And this is where a Sangha of Vaishnavas come along. And many times the solutions are not direct Krishna conscious statements. It is about empathizing and accepting people as they are. So one of the questions that I am seeing for which this answer will also count is a story that Prabhupada went to Durban. So Prabhupada went to Durban. I would have said this story in this Bhakti Sangha group itself 50 times. This is the 51st time I'll tell you. Prabhupada went to Durban. Prabhupada had only one time to be in Durban. And the Durban ISKCON temple had a neighbor. That neighbor was so annoyed with ISKCON that subah roz ganti bajate hain, shank baja dete hain, kirtan karte hain. They were annoyed. So the lady used to regularly fight with Prabhupada. Sorry, to the ISKCON people. So regularly the lady and ISKCON people regularly fought. Now Prabhupada was going to arrive at Durban. The ISKCON temple authorities had a dilemma. Should we go and tell that lady that, please, next 3 days, thoda chup rehna, our spiritual master is coming. So after 3 days, we'll continue our fight. But then they thought, if they go and tell that lady, she'll get all the more excited to come and put up a fight. So they decided not to tell. Then they thought, they will tell Prabhupada. At least let us sensitize Prabhupada. When, in case if the lady comes for fighting, at least Prabhupada is well aware. Then they thought, this is the first time Prabhupada is coming. If I go and tell Prabhupada such a report, it doesn't look nice. So they were in a dilemma, did not say anything. 3 days when Prabhupada was there, every day morning after Mangalarti, Srila Prabhupada used to go for a morning walk. Every day before going for the morning walk, Srila Prabhupada used to stand next to that lady, because ISKCON and that neighboring land was on a common fence. Prabhupada used to greet that lady. Wow, what a very nice garden that you have kept. You have very nicely maintained them. You have looked after them very well. 3 days, Prabhupada did only that. He did not use the word Hare Krishna, Rama, Govinda, Prasadam, kuch nahi bola. All 3 days he just said how she has maintained it very well. 4th day that lady came to ISKCON and Prabhupada by then left. So that lady came and said, where is that old man who was in your temple? So everybody got little annoyed. Said, kya problem hai? What is the problem? No, tell me who that person is. They said, he is our founder, Acharya. That lady said, he is the only good guy in your entire movement. So the point is, actually 3 days of very minuscule association with that person, she could create an impact. The point I'm trying to say is, many a times in our association, in our relationship, we think we have to stuff up with Krishna consciousness content. That is why I said, we can be technically correct in Krishna consciousness. But if you are not emotionally correct in Krishna consciousness, probably you are losing the game. Even with Krishna, what to speak of materialistic people? So in that means every close association, every time when you are dealing with association, sometimes we might need to deal beyond the content of Krishna consciousness with an intent of Krishna consciousness. With an intent of Krishna consciousness and not the content, the person gets the message and they'll continue to practice in Krishna consciousness. These are all the principles that I can tell you. I'm sure when we hear more details, when we have more information, this is about the matter of how to handle different minds. It is easy when we and Krishna. It is all the more easy, Krishna, you and Guru. When the fourth person comes, that's when the problem starts. Me and Krishna, situation is very easy. Chalo, Guru ko bhi le lete hain, no problem. At least because Guru ke bina, Krishna is very difficult. But when your fourth person comes, then we start to think, oh, Guru is giving him or me more importance. That's when the whole confusions, all the things starts. And that's where our maturity in Krishna consciousness is assessed. So in your personal capacity, I would sincerely, humbly request you, never choose to be alone in your service. You will lose your soldier profile. You are a soldier. You are chosen to be a soldier. And we are all meant to be a soldier working together. For sure, somebody must have given you pain. And I'm sure every pain that you have received, Krishna is watching it and will definitely apply some very good ointment. And when you happen to see him one-on-one, he'll give you a tight hug.
Thank you, Prabhuji. You really brought tears to my eyes. The way you've explained is so beautiful. You've actually, I think I am too honest and too blunt as a human being. That's where the problems are coming, because it's important to be tactful also, which I'm not. My whole family also knows about it, that I'm not a politically correct person, but my heart is clean. I know that. And probably that's why Krishna has been very merciful on me. Till date, I get lovely association. And I'm always blessed throughout the day to hear so many things and able to chant 32 rounds every day, which is absolutely his mercy. Otherwise, with the kind of lifestyles we have in Mumbai, it's not possible. And thank you so much, Prabhuji. I really have felt gratitude towards you. Thank you, Raj Prabhu, for giving me the permission to ask him. Actually, I'm out for some meeting. I'm just rushing there. So I stopped. I halted here to understand. Thank you so much,
Hare
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. No thanks to me. Your question was so long in the chat, so I put you ahead. I said, you ask, Mataji. That's all. This is how stupid I am, Mataji.
Really, thanks a lot. I don't have words to thank you, actually. Thank you so much.
No, thanks to Prabhu and Srila Prabhupada. I'm just a servant of the servant,
Jai
Mataji.
Srila Prabhupada, yes.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. No qualification at all. Sukakara Prabhu, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Pranam Prabhu, accept my humble obeisances. I'm actually from Chennai. Actually, Tamil than now, but I was in Sharjah before. I was there for.
I know, Prabhu. I know your brother also.
Oh, okay. Gokulanand Gopal Das.
He was a good friend.
Because your lecture was so much high content. Best thing I like was not the content of KC, but the intent of KC. Because I'll tell you, I have got around 45 people who did chartered accountants with me from Calcutta in 1987, 93 batch we passed. So out of that, 76 we passed. 70. Some people passed in 79 and some I passed in 1983 only. So all of us joined in Chennai, and I was trying to have some classes. So out of the 45, 2 people have started chanting 16 rounds, and they're going to take initiation from Devtak Maharaj. But all others have slowly swindled out. Some are Sai Baba Bhaktas. So maybe I was a little heavy, and I don't know what has happened. So now not so much favorable. They're not able to accept. So I feel very defeated that, my intent was good, but somehow the content was a little overflowed, and I missed the bus. I'm just praying to Krishna that, they also should somehow. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to make it, because I am a Ghar ki Murgi Dal Barabar. I know them for 45 years. So, ye kya bolega? So I'm putting Prema Padma Mataji. I was in Muscat also. So I'm telling Prema Padma Shiksha Guru, she's going to do. So like that, out of that 45, around 7, 8 are coming. But I'm not trying to get name and fame and all. But I want everyone we study together and everyone should come to this. That is my only intention, Prabhu. I feel disturbed.
Very nice, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your feelings and thoughts to serve and win more and more souls to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. I'll just want to say 2 points as a response. Now, even though it's not a question, I just as you want to mention that in book distribution services in Mumbai, generally when we do book distribution, we do railway stations. Many times it so happens during the book marathon time, we all put book stalls in the railway stations. So we are in Navi Mumbai. If anybody know the geography of Mumbai, so people start. Yeah, so I'm in Nehru. So basically, people start from BT. So what happens is that a person would have seen the book in one station, but bought the book in completely another station. And the person who would have sold the book would have thought that I preached him. Probably the person in the first station would have preached him enough. He would have thought that why should I carry all the book all the way? Let me go, and when I get down near my home, I will buy the book.
Yeah.
So many times preaching is like that. So you would have done a preaching, somebody else will finish it. So and both the people get the credit for
it. So nice. So I met one doctor yesterday in Chennai. He's actually a person who's doing a lot of abortions. I said, you're doing such a, few tests is being done, and I told you, sin will take you somewhere. We are making money. You may make money. You may have 2-3 houses, BMW car and all, but your status is very, very tough. So 2 hours he spoke. So he said, from today, I will not do abortions. I told this 6th canto, I told. So,
somebody also do a logic, Prabhuji. I will, make a lot of money, give 25% to Krishna. So then I will tell people that let us all go and rob the bank. Probably if, 20 of us use our brain, probably we can rob the bank also. So what's wrong in that? So it's like that. I don't know. Somebody is selling a logic like this. I am doing this and eventually I'll make a lot of money and make Krishna temple. I mean, then how Karna was good? How, anybody else was good? So anyway, it's funny people. Okay, any other questions? There are a lot of questions I saw in the chat. So
yeah, Jyoti Mataji has put 5 questions in it.
Yeah, sure. Fine. Let us do that. Before that, I saw Tiffany Mataji. I'm not sure if I did respond to her. So
she told Hare Krishna.
Okay. So Tiffany Mataji and also one more Mataji had raised the same question, that how can you avoid non-devotees association if they are your family? We are not saying we are not saying avoiding non-devotees association. In fact, we want to say, please go and associate with them and give your association. Please, the whole science of Krishna consciousness is about this. We are never allowed to disrespect anyone, not a human being, not even an animal we are allowed to disrespect. Just because their professions are different, their functioning is different, their thought process is different, please have a respect towards every living entity. That is what is Vaishnava Dharma. Vaishnava means one who learned to respect. If somebody is not able to respect, then he cannot even be a devotee, to be very honest, because it is part of our Krishna consciousness functioning. What is the question that we are saying? You have a choice whom to obey, whom to follow, whom to teach, whom to correct. There are everybody you cannot obey because people may have different ideologies. So in your family, you can still be loving, you can still be caring. Can you just imagine the situation? Somebody treated Prahlad Maharaj like left, right, center. He was, tortured. He had love for his father. Can you imagine the situation like that of a Mandodari, where Ravana, tortured? Mandodari did not go and have a Mukha Mara nahi hai. She never had a fight with the Ravana. She had her own feelings that he is doing mistake, but she maintained her sanctity. It's difficult to say, but at the same time, all we are saying is that we can have tough family members, we can have tough friends, or we can have somebody who's not a devotee, but we have to still learn to love them. The way Prabhupada dealt with that neighboring lady, actually means Prabhupada's feel, caring for her. Prabhupada did not even want to give a positive impression. That is why Prabhupada said all devotees are gentlemen, which means we are not. What is Chanakya Pandita's statement? Matravat paradareshu paradraveshu lostravat atmava sarva bhuteshu ya paschati sha pandita. This is education. What does a pandita mean? Matravat paradareshu. I will look at every woman apart from my wife as my mother. Paradravyeshu lostravat. I will be detached, not longing, not greed enough towards others' property. Atmavas sarva bhuteshu. I will treat others the way they wish to, the way I wish to be treated. Ya paschati sa pandita. This is education. So what are we saying? We are saying two things. For your spiritual journey, please choose whom to learn from. For your social, emotional, spiritual, and devotional existence, love everyone. It is like, I have a disease, I will go to a doctor. Nobody can come and blame, why did you go to a doctor and ask, I'm your best friend, you should have asked me. Nobody will say that. You will go to a doctor when you have a disease. But otherwise, amongst the family, we will talk. So when I am taking personal advice from my guru and Siksha guru and my seniors, they are my doctors. So I will go by their recommendation. But once I'm coming out of the hospital, you are all friends and family. I will try to retaliate, reciprocate, and function proportionate to the relationship demands. So from that perspective, we definitely very much need to be along with others. Prabhupada did not set up Krishna consciousness to run away from the family or the society. Prabhupada rather wanted us. In fact, Prabhupada's arrangement of ISKCON is actually a modeling, role modeling. Prabhupada wanted ISKCON to set up a role model. See, this is a model. If you practice Krishna consciousness in this capacity, the society community can be very nicely functioning. So that is the arrangement that we are supposed to be. So you have to model yourself. People should get inspired with you. Oh, wow. This lady seems to be very nice, very gentle, very caring, very loving, and non-judgmental. So maybe there is something that she's learning from there. It's making her like this. So let me also do this. One day, this our Prabhu Hari Vilas Prabhu in Seattle, he mentioned a story. It was in Berkeley Temple, a similar scenario like Durban. The Berkeley Temple neighbor had a situation where he hated ISKCON. So he never wanted ISKCON. Every time he used to abuse ISKCON. So one day morning after Mangalarti, so Hari Vilas Prabhu was mentioning, he was chanting. At that time, he noticed that neighbor who was actually angry with ISKCON, his car, petrol was leaking. The car was parked, petrol was leaking. So Hari Vilas Prabhu, with all hesitancy, he went and knocked at the door. When he knocked at the door, that person, it was 5 a.m. in the morning. So that person, he was waking up from the sleep and said, he howled at him saying that, you guys, you don't have any sense. Every time you disturb us in the early morning hours. In spite of him shouting, Hari Vilas Prabhu said, I very humbly told, nice sir, I didn't come to disturb you. I just wanted to let you know that your car gas is leaking because you may be traveling elsewhere. So I just thought I will let you know about this. That person felt so sad, so bad. Hari Vilas Prabhu was crying and emotionally saying, after that point in time, in their families, every birthday, wedding day, anniversary, everything, celebration was happening only in ISKCON temple. So the gesture of care, had he been a devotee, I would have served. No, he was not even a devotee, he was against ISKCON. He was, fighting with ISKCON. So the intent here is, where do you take your heart-to-heart relationship? Where do you give your heart-to-heart relationship? That's what we are talking about. When you are a doctor, when you are a patient, go to a doctor. When you have a patient, you try to be a doctor, at least take them to a doctor. So the association is supposed to be organized in that manner. I hope I have responded. Tiffany Mataji, and there's one more devotee by name Krishna. They had a similar question. So, and
Hare Krishna. Ramagiridhari Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much. Actually, my question was a little different. My question, I'm sorry, I don't want to take too much time. So basically what's happening is I'm cultivating a small group of people. And we've been reading Bhagavad Gita for 2 years and meeting every week. And 2 of them have moved very far away and they don't have association except for online with me. And I try to get them to do other things. And so I was just wondering, my question was, if we don't have, the devotee doesn't have good association where they live, what would you suggest?
Oh, yes. Sorry, probably I misread your question. So I would definitely, as much as possible, remote help has to be provided. If any local, association can be facilitated, if it's possible, provided. One of the easiest thing that is generally, recommended in such scenarios are, you set up a routine for them and some sort of a small projects for them. When I say routine for them, because they are new, maybe you can set up a routine. Okay, why don't you do this? Why don't you do morning 20 minutes of a prayer? Why don't you do, evening 20 minutes of a prayer? It depends upon what their schedule allows you. So what happens is that it is like this. When we are doing a distance learning, in distance learning program, what they do, they make a timetable for you. And after 1 month, after, a specific 6 weeks of period, they ask you to, share with them the results. So sometimes in your, grooming, you can try and break them into some smaller projects, some sort of, why don't you, read this book? Why don't you write about your feelings about karma, feelings about bhakti, love. So several things. If you do that, then they will be. The biggest challenge for us to teach Krishna consciousness is people are not able to see a relevance. My studying Krishna consciousness, how it is relevant in my daily life. If you somehow or other able to map that relevance to the daily life, your chanting is directly proportionate to your daily functioning. If you are able to map that, then they will be able to function much more effectively, because we have figured out that for my daily functioning, I need to do certain things properly. I need to keep my car properly maintained. I need to make sure I have to pay my credit card bills on time. I need to make sure I have to pay utility bills on time. Certain things I'm organized. Just that my Krishna consciousness understanding, I have not mapped with my daily life. They think there are 2 separate tracks. If somehow or other, depends upon the individual's interest, individual's inclination, individual's desire, if somehow or other, if you are able to map these 2 things, you by chanting nicely, you will be able to, be more focused, or by reading nicely, you'll be able to be more, productive, or whatever the way, if you can try to map to the daily life, probably they'll be able to, strike some relevance to practicing Krishna consciousness seriously. And for sure, Prabhupada books reading is that our standard recommendation. But as I said, reading, striking with the relevance will be relevance to daily context, will be making it much more meaningful. I'm not sure if I would be able to make a full sense of this, but it's all I could.
No, that was good. That was good. It was actually some very good and practical suggestions. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I appreciate you and I appreciate your class. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Tiffany Mataji. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for another beautiful answer. Our actions and our reactions define us. Thank you so much. Dear Prahladananda Prabhu, our senior devotee, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Raj Prabhu. And thank you very much, Ramagiridhari Prabhu. Accept my humble obeisances. Although I'm senior by age, I'm very little in my gnan, Krishna consciousness. But my story, I've been able to diagnose now my position about a solo soldier, which is incompatible with our philosophy, Vaishnavas. But it is similar to Vandana Mataji in Bombay. I was in Nairobi in 1980s, 84, I got initiated, and I was practicing there also. And, from the temple, I was getting so much kind of push for services, and that was disturbing my practice so much, because I was about 20, 30 kilometers away from Nairobi. And, slowly I developed this taste for this kind of association that, which is disturbing my practice. And I said, what is my priority? I was a young man around 28, 30 there, and I said, I must make money, that that kind of attitude I had. And then I started studying Prabhupada's books and everything on my own, and like that. So from that perspective, I was kind of a solo soldier, as you have said. And then I moved to United States in 95. And somehow Lord Krishna brought me to this city called Las Vegas. That was in 97 October. And I found no ISKCON, this thing here. Only one gentleman from Bengal. He was belonging not to Krishna ISKCON, but another Narayan Maharaj group like that. So we are having some kind of association with him and that. So on his Sundays. And then I found nobody like that. So what I did was, I started mixing with Gujaratis here in Las Vegas, and I started preaching to them little. And then I started that, I want to teach my children, send your children, and we can teach them Bhagavad Gita. Like. So I developed that kind of association. And throughout this over now, from 97 up to now, even today we are continuing every Sundays and on Zoom and other things. So, I have now become accustomed to that solo soldier, situation so much, right? And although now there is a center in Las Vegas, ISKCON Center now for last 1 or 2 years like that. But once I met Radha Govind Swami, who is my Guru Maharaj, he told me that I told him that, I am doing this service every Sunday at the Sanatana temple. So he says that is even better than ISKCON Center. I said, how? He says, other people come, you give them preaching and that. And by the way, we are also doing the books distribution from that time. All these devotees, they contribute little money. And then I go to LA, BBT and get all the books and, we distribute like this. So today, as I'm saying, I'm so much accustomed to this solo practice, and I feel so good about it. And we have developed so much association like that. So part of it is that, when I'm alone, I'm also developing association with others who are becoming devotees. So, so is it now, that I'm developing, I'm around 70 now. So, is it okay still for me to continue that way, or you would say?
I am so humbled, I'm not sure how to even respond to such senior people as yours, Prabhu. In my response to that Dr. Vaishnavi or whatever that name Mataji was.
Vandana Mataji.
Vandana Mataji. I mentioned a statement. One is a category called soldier. Another was a category called missionaries.
Okay.
Missionaries always function solo. So I am saying the point is like a raw agent. NIA agents, they all go solo, but they create a cloud. They create preaching initiatives. So I was just trying to explain a fundamental point. In general, we cannot assume ourselves as a missionary, but for Krishna's mercy, Gurudev's mercy, Prabhupada's mercy, or situation, Krishna forces you to put into a situation. You see, you started solo, but you are not remaining solo. You have a cloud under you. There are people who are practicing Krishna. That's the whole message. The message is there are people, smartas, or even non-Krishna conscious people, they are solo. They never want anyone in between them and Krishna, and they never want to disturb themselves. Some Mayavadis, they seclude themselves, choose seclusive place. So in your case, I would, I have no authority to, validate anything, Prabhu. For sure, your results, the journey from 1983-84 till now itself, demonstrates your love and commitment for Srila Prabhupada's Sankirtan mission. So I would, rather than calling you as a soldier, probably you would have done a missionary job. And missionaries are doing things in a very different manner, unusual manner. And generally that is not an open recommendation, because Prabhupada was a missionary. Prabhupada started his journey from India to USA as an lone person. And look at what he has done. So there are some blessed souls, and it needs some perseverance. Not everybody could be a missionary, because you have to go through so many ordeals, so many challenges. You have to fight against the wave. You need to have some sort of a perseverance. Not everybody could do that. That's why we say soldier mentality is easier. Being a soldier, then get elevated to a captain, to a super captain, to whatever that category is, and then grow up. But in your case, Krishna has been very kind to give you that necessary inspiration, Prabhu. So please bestow your, as Raj Prabhu has written, I would even say half the person is okay. Let you give 1% to him, I will take half.
That's very kind
Hare
of you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I touch feet of all the Vaishnavas here, and please bless me. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Prahlad Prabhu, thank you so much for the beautiful question. And Ramagiridhari Prabhu, you are just so humble. That shows you. I just asked for 0.1 and you are like 0.5. But we all know what level you are, how much merciful your Guru Maharaj is on you, Prabhu. It shows you by your lecture and by your realization. Thank you so much. Prabhu, if you have a little more time,
I have no problems. I'm enjoying.
There's some question from Jyoti Mataji. She's a very regular devotee, very amazing devotee, attending every day Srimad Bhagavatam classes. So she has some questions. You did answer the second question, but she had some other question in the chat box.
Yeah, I'll do the first one. Intuitions, dreams that turn true, Shraddha, intentions. So please give your insight about differentiation between intuitions, dreams, and turn. Okay, basically it is like this. Whatever little I know of dreams, intuitions will come. Whatever little that I know of dreams, for a sadhaka, dreams are just an information, or it's just a transactional thing. But for a self-realized soul, dreams are communication. So one has to remember, like Prabhupada mentioned this in one place, that if a spiritual master gets a bad dream or some very disturbing dream, it's because of the disciples' conduct or functioning. I mean, Krishna, because the spiritual master accepted responsibility of a disciple, the disciples' mistakes, the spiritual master need to be given some pain. One of the ways Krishna, in a kind of pass it on to the spiritual master is through some bad dreams. And also, if anything that Krishna wants to communicate, he chooses a Bhagavata. Brahmanosya mukamasit bahura janyakrita. Purusha Sukta says, Brahmanosya mukamasit. Brahmanas are the mouthpiece of the Supreme Lord. And not only just mouthpiece, they become mouthpiece only after they get it in dream. So Krishna communicates to them through their dream or through their arrangements. So I do not want to analyze the science of how the dream is validated. That's a separate conversation. But as of now, for a practicing devotee, if any dream comes that have Krishna's darshan or Gurudev's darshan or service, you can take some inspiration and move forward. But it has just a transactional relevance. It is like, for example, I go to a Rath Yatra and buy a t-shirt with Jagannath's picture. And then I wear the t-shirt, I feel very satisfied. But does that give me bhakti? May not be. But does that give me some enthusiasm? Yes, it is. Similarly, when you get a dream of thinking about Krishna coming in the dream, Narsingh giving a hug to you, Jagannath is smiling at you, you can take some inspiration and do your service nicely. Don't take it as a validation that you have become a self-realized soul. Or no, a person should not take that as a validation. Because many times we, I've seen people who have analyzed dreams like anything and they take decisions based on dreams. That may be slightly risky, especially we are in the sadhaka zone. I do not know you personally and your personal spiritual standards. I'm sure you can take, your own judgmental call, and dreams are in general for a sadhaka just an information. Regarding intuitions, intuitions is a very, funny word, because intuitions could be either coming from instinct or intellect. If the intuition is coming from instinct, which means we are sense gratificatory. If the intuition is coming from intellect, which means we have some reasoning capacity to take a decision. Animals operate on instinct. A male dog sees a female dog. A male dog sees another, dog. It immediately fight. If they don't differentiate, he's my brother, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, jijaji, mama, kaka, they don't see that. They just have immediate instinct and they want to get on with that. But in case of a human being, so they use intellect, there's a rational, there's a questioning that comes into the picture. But the intellect here is not sufficient. Intelligence illuminated with knowledge along with blessings is what is very important. So instinct, which is illuminated, which is backed up by intelligence, illuminated with knowledge, along with the blessings from a bona fide source, that instinct has to be definitely validated. Prabhupada explains that representative of Paramatma is Gurudev. There is another way we can understand Paramatma is helping us is by you hearing your intelligence. So from that perspective, intuitions are a little tricky word. I may get intuitions out of instinct, out of my sensual feelings. I may get intuitions out of my intellectual feelings also. How do you know which is from intelligence, which is from intuition? It is by the purpose for which this intuition is directed towards. If the purpose is glorious, if the result and the activity for which you are going to do is glorious, we can definitely carefully conclude that it is coming from intelligence. It is like this, Mataji, that if somebody is alone and I am crying, thinking about the name of Krishna, when I am in front of 100 people and I am crying the name of Krishna, I would rather validate the person who cried when he was alone to be more genuine than he was in front of 100 people. In general, because our sincere Krishna consciousness is validated only when we are alone. Suppose you are alone at home. Afraid of being alone, you cry. That's not what I'm saying. Missing Krishna and crying. You're having emotions about doing service to Krishna. So those questions, those thinking, those are all the intuitions which are supported with intelligence. That's why Prabhupada says, "Falena parichiyate." Intuitions are good if it is backed up by intelligence. Attitude and consciousness with respect to bhakti. Very nice. Consciousness is about what you desire. Attitude is about how you want the desire to be expressed and fulfilled. Attitude, consciousness is about what. Attitude is about how. I know Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. I know I am not this body, spirit, soul. I am clear on what content. How I am reacting to that tells about my attitude. So that is why Prabhupada says, you knowing everything is great. How are you reacting to the situation tells you who you are. Technically speaking, all the 35, 40, 50 people who attended the class today will know, or they know already what I spoke. But Prahladananda Prabhu and a few other devotees are only following them, or whatever, that little bit of devotees only following them, that differentiate them as seniors. The reason is, what I know makes you better, but how I go about in handling them makes you perfect. So attitude is about how I want to conduct myself, how I want to function in Krishna consciousness, and Krishna is only watching how. Because what to ab sahi kar hi loge. I mean, you cannot just miss on what. Oh, I am thinking of going to little, Patal or Loka. Nobody would say that. I want to go to Krishna Loka. I'm not in the right direction. But how I want to approach it. So that is Krishna consciousness. That is why I said in my class, it is about emotional Krishna consciousness. Technical Krishna consciousness and sentimental Krishna consciousness is actually very easy. They are skill-based. They are all endeavor-based. Emotional is not endeavor-based. Emotional is about your attitude-based. How much ever, suppose if I put in next 45 days, take vacation, probably I will be able to finish reading Bhagavad Gita and 6 cantos of Bhagavatam if I do a 8-hour marathon every day. But in the next 45 days, will I be able to become a self-realized soul? It has to by my attitude, by my service spirit, by my perseverance, by my tolerance, by my patience, which cannot be quantitatively defined. It has to be only qualitatively defined. So second question I've answered. Third question, how we should prioritize our seva if seva is overloaded. So we assign ourselves seva as committed to Lord, and then coming from a very senior authority. And already we have assigned from spiritual teacher, and many obstacles coming, even I am true doing seva sincerely. Once Mother Urmila mentioned this point, very nicely she mentioned. So she mentioned that she was referring from Nectar of Devotion. Over committing our service and not executing them correctly is also an aparad. Of course, I'm not able to pinpoint the exact reference. So basically, if somebody overcommits a service, and just because sometimes what happens that you feel a little elated, Prabhuji, I have so much of service. You see, I don't have time to sleep also. Wow, 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 what a sincere, great devotee. So you want to hear that. So sometimes it is not about the quantum of service. It is about the commitment that we have taken for the, devotion. So with respect to service, my understanding is, let us take service proportionate to our surrender. Let us take service proportionate to our skills and commitment. Let us take service where we can be accountable and responsible. What is proportionate to our surrender? Suppose, for example, we are asked, Prabhupada asked Brahmananda Prabhu to go to Pakistan and preach. To go and preach in Pakistan. Don't try that out. So what you can, what you can't, what you are not able to function. So don't overcommit. For example, I used to always tell our students here, your love towards another fellow devotee should be proportionate to your attachment to him. For example, I have a neighbor who is Hare Krishna devotee. To his birthday, I go and give him a gold, ring or diamond ring. Prabhu, here is your birthday gift. That is over exaggeration of your relationship. Tomorrow, that same Prabhu does not lend his car to you for a drive. Gali denge. Kya yaar? Ek din di gali, car nahi de pa raha. So let us not overdo our service and relationship. So that is why our service should be proportionate to our faith and surrender. How much ever you have surrendered, how much ever you have faith, 10% plus minus is understandable. That's why I said don't do 50% above, don't do 50% lower. And our service should definitely be, that is relevant and relatable and accountable. You take up a service and make sure your seniors can ask question on you. No, koi sawal nahi pooch sakta, mera seva mera hi hai. So that is too much. So make sure that you are at least allowing your seniors to ask questions to you. So that way services are supposed to be definitely taken very seriously and carefully. And it is not about the quantum of service. It is about the consciousness. Sometimes you may have to take all the services, not because it is quantum, because nobody else is there and you want to make sure that the temple is not left unclean, so you do it. But at the same time, you can definitely express yourself. That is why our system of functioning is, we have hierarchy. We can always go to our spiritual leaders and go and express our difficulties that, Prabhu, Mataji, I am not able to do service, kindly excuse me. And the other person should gauge it. Are you an evader? Or are you genuinely expressing your problem? If you are genuinely expressing your problem, you will properly communicate and you will properly, heard. Even if they misunderstand, that's okay. Because we cannot help it. Your genuinity is your genuinity. Vibration of Hare Krishna, the holy Naam, also purify the other living entities. Could you please explain this? What is the exact details of process? It's wonderful, there's a story. Narada Muni once went to Krishna. He went to Krishna and said, same question. Please explain me the glories of holy name. Krishna is a very, interesting, enterprising person. Krishna said, I will not give you an answer. I will give you an experiment to do. So Krishna told Narada Muni, you please go to Bhuloka. There will be a caterpillar. You pick up the caterpillar and chant in the ears of the caterpillar the holy name of the Lord. Narada Muni couldn't even comprehend. I asked a technical question. I need a technical answer. If you give an experiment, what will I do? Okay, I will do it. So he went to the caterpillar and picked up the caterpillar and took the caterpillar and chanted the holy name of the Lord. Whatever. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. ISKCON wale bolte Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But holy name is Nam Nam Akari Vabhuta. Any holy name is holy name. So he chanted the holy name and the caterpillar died. So Narada Muni got so confused. He came back to Krishna. Said, I asked you an experiment. Question. You told me the experiment. The caterpillar died. What should I conclude? Said, no, just go down. There's the butterfly there. Just catch hold of the butterfly and chant the holy name in the ears. So Narada Muni, came down, caught hold of the butterfly and chanted the holy name, and the butterfly died. So Narada Muni went back and said, Krishna, please, galti se kuch sawal pucha to maaf karna. So please tell me what is the answer. Nahi, keep on the experiment, go down. A cow has given birth to a new calf. So go and chant in the ears of the calf. Narada Muni said, butterfly tak to koi census nahi rakhta. Nobody keeps an account of how many butterflies are there here and there. But calf, I will have to be a bit careful. He said, Bindas jao, just go and chant in the ears of the calf. So Narada Muni came down and chanted the ears of the calf, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, holy name of the Lord. And naturally, to everyone's surprise, the calf died. So this time, Narada Muni came to Krishna and was really upset, saying that I'm sure I must have done something against you. So you want to settle your scores with me? Please don't put me in such a trouble. But no, you are on the right track. Just go down. Raja has given birth to a son. Just go and chant in the ears of the prince. Narada Muni said, I will not go. Guy tak bachne tak to theek tha. If Raja ke palace mein jaake, if anything happens to the prince, I will not even come back to give the report to you. Said, go Baba, chinta mat karo, just go. So Narada Muni came down. As soon as Narada Muni came, the Raja was already coming to the main gate to welcome Narada Muni. So he welcomed him. He said, come, Sadhu, please come. We are very happy to receive you because we have a newborn baby, and please come and bless the child. So Narada Muni, everybody is excited seeing Narada Muni. Narada Muni was so upset, because of concern. They came and gave the child to Narada Muni's hand. He is suddenly shivering. He held the child. He has to do the experiment. So he chanted in the ears the holy name of the Lord. And to everyone's surprise, those who were all assembled, what happened? The child started speaking. A newborn baby, hardly 1 year, 2 year, 1 day, 2 day old child started speaking. My dear sir, Jalaja Navalakshani Tavara Laksharimsati. So there are 84 lakh species. I would have to be, going from caterpillar to Manushya. It would have taken ages for me to come to this place. Just by your kindness, you made me come in this human form of life in such a short span of time. So how I'm going to, repay my debts to you? Thank you so much. And the child started explaining about the glories of the holy name of the Lord. So in Harinam Chintamani, Haridas Thakur is explaining that there is something called as Sanketa Nama Bhas. Sanketa Nama Bhas means even if somebody says, I'm going to Haridwar, I'm going to Hrishikesh, and if somebody is even giving a, casual statements and in which has the name of the Lord, then the name, the Haridas Thakur is explaining the holy name is so potent that it can, deliver that person. And this question, when you have asked Jyoti Mataji, was in the right context. Tomorrow's speaker will open up Pandora's box of, wonderful information from tomorrow onwards. This whole story of Ajamila is centered around this question. How holy name can actually deliver. Ajamila, one single guy, done all notorious activities. How he got, association of Vishnu Dutas and eventually went back. You should hear Yamaraj's description whenever that comes to 3-4 chapters later, it will come. So beautiful. Yamaraj is explaining answer to this question. I hope I have clarified your points.
Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. I'm really very grateful to you. I'm really eternally grateful to you. Thank you so much. But the question that you have answered me, you said intelligence on the differentiation that you have given, in that you have explained about the intelligence part. In that context, I want to just ask one question, that the first thought when it comes to our mind, if that thought is related to spiritual, then that intelligence is good enough. If that thought is corrupt one, it is not taking us to the spirituality, then that is not executed. I mean, that we should be, just avoid. Is this understanding correct?
Yes, but not complete. It is correct from the sense that the thought of Krishna is good, but you have to start, filling the blanks, further blanks also. Because you sow a thought to reap an action. You sow an action to reap a habit. You sow a habit to reap a character. You sow a character to reap a destiny. thought level tak, if you have succeeded, make sure it is coming into action level. What if it evaporates in the thought level itself? Definitely you are given some brownie points, but you have to yearn it further. Because in Krishna consciousness, unless we are making progress, stagnancy is not considered as a very good thing. So if your intentions, your intuitions, your thoughts are centered around Krishna, for Krishna, glorious, you get a pat on your back. But is that feeling, thoughts can be taken forward to an action? Can you sow a thought to reap an action? If it is not come to the action level, maybe you have to intensify the thought itself, intensify the feelings itself. It's correct, but don't think it is complete. That's all I'm saying. Make sense?
Yes. And the last question, it is, can I say no to the seva? Is it offense if I'm not able to serve with complete attention, but it is the need of the hour?
Okay. It is like this. If you're saying no to the seva only because you are not able to focus with attention, that is not correct. Because we are supposed to do the service. It's like this. I will chant only when I am attentive. That stage will come only by progress, by we doing a regular endeavor. So it is like by practice. Krishna is telling this to Arjuna in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. So services will become perfect only when you have an abhyas. Abhyas means routine, consistency. So it is like this. One time, ek bar dekh le chakshe jal, gaura bole nitai den sakala sambal. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement. Which means if Nityananda Prabhu sees one time a tear welling in your eyes by chanting the name of Gaura, Nityananda Prabhu is going to give you everything. Probably in the last 15, 20, 30 years of Krishna consciousness, we would have chanted Gaura's name several times. Couple of times tears also came. Are we enough qualified to receive Nityananda Prabhu's mercy? In one sense, we are still in the preparation. So all we are trying to say is that you saying no only because you are not able to focus is not a good reason to not do the service. Probably you should evaluate, find out how to focus, or try to find out services, ask for an alternative services where you can do focus. By doing no service or by withdrawing service is not a solution.
Okay. Thank you so much. Really, really grateful to you. Thank you. Please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your valuable time, Prabhu. You must be so busy, but you're so merciful, Prabhu. You keep going on with the question answers of all the devotees. You made everyone happy on the call, I think, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Prabhu, we look forward to Shamagori Mataji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhu would like to do katha whole night. He is free to do katha.
I can see Mataji, I can see Prabhu is so devoted to this mission of Srila Prabhupada. This is amazing. Actually, our seniors like Prabhu and like many Prabhus on the call, they give us inspiration to just go ahead and keep with the movement and just, keep doing our service, So one day we'll get Krishna Prema, hopefully.
We'll play this portion only in loop. I'm going to hear this for the whole night. Only this portion. I'll clip this out, play it in loop. I'm going to hear this so that hairs will stand on the end.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Just bless us, Prabhu, so we can get a little bit of what you have. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Please, Prabhu, give us your mercy.
Prabhu, what I feel is for the Prabhu, the way he's giving the lectures, classes, he will become a Diksha Guru very soon, because Guru Maharaj was looking for some Grahastha Diksha Guru. I think you have got all the potentiality, Prabhu, because you're able to convince, you are having very practical experience, and you are humble, you are knowledgeable.
People should not think that you are South Indian. I bribed you to talk about glories about me.
No, Prabhu. I don't know. I have not met you also, Prabhu. Why I should bribe, Prabhu? No,
I'm just joking, Prabhu. Prabhu, I think all glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories.
From the core of the heart, I wish you that you will definitely be helping so many in the world, Prabhu, whole world.
Thank you, Sukhatara Prabhu. Dear devotees, let us pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. It is getting too late for Prabhuji too. Vancha kalptarubhyaścha kripasinducha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Mantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ji ki jai. His Grace Ramagiridhari Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, again for your time, Prabhu.